Hey y'all, it's Kathy and I'm back. I am excited to do this video today. I want to do Dee Dee Farago's 3 and 15. Hers is Don't Freak Out Before Christmas, DFBC. I'm not doing mine in Christmas because I need other things right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and use non-Christmas paper. I don't think she'll mind. And I'm going to do mine a little bit different. I'm going to link her video in my description box. Her method is probably much easier. Well, I know it's much easier because I've done it. And, but I want to show y'all a little trick about what I do with window envelopes sometimes. Because I want the same pattern on the front. So I'm going to try to get that window in this paper. I'm going to attempt it. So, doesn't always work out, but when it does, I like it. So what I normally do is set the edge of my paper, and I like to use non-directional paper. Well, you can use direction. This does lend itself well to directional paper until you get to the bottom flap, and you could still do it. You could still do it with directional paper that way. I'm just using non-directional paper so I don't have to worry about it when I'm trying to cut and piece and place and all that. Now, the one thing that I do is I do mark on the front of my paper because I want this paper to lay exactly down on that envelope. If I try to turn it over or flip it or do whatever needs to be done to mark on the back, I can promise you it's going to be wrong. So I just find it easier to have a good eraser handy. And what I do is I come in here and I put a little mark just inside the walls of the, and it just needs to be a little mark. It doesn't have to be anything big. I just put it just inside the window frame because I don't mind going a little bit inside the window frame, but I don't want to go outside of the window frame. So then I do the same thing on this side. I make sure I get my side lined up nicely because that's where it's going to be. Pull it down a little bit more so we can all see. Okay, so I've got this edge. This is my important edge right now. It's lined up nicely. And I'm going to put a little pencil mark right inside the window frame. Now what I do is I take a ruler, I find my pencil marks so that I know where they are. Because sometimes they're hard to see. On some papers they're real easy, but on some papers they're just not. So then what I do is I take a ruler, and I get my paper straight. So I want to get it up on an edge with my mat. Okay, and I know my window is going to start here, but it's going to start down here. So what I want to do is making sure I'm straight. I'm using a ruler that I can see through to make sure that I'm straight. And then also to make sure I can see my mark there. So here we go. Make sure that I'm straight. And my mark was right up here, and I want my cut to start right down here. So I start even with that mark and I end with this mark down here. And just make a little line. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I want to make sure that my ruler's straight. And I'm using my lines on my ruler, my lines on my paper. Okay, and then again, helps if I hold down my ruler. Again, I want to make from my mark from this point to this point. So I'm going to go, and this does not have to be perfect. If you go a little shy or a little over, it's not going to hurt a thing. Then I'm going to turn my paper, and I'm going to do the same thing. And here it's really important to get it squared up again. Okay, and then I want to make sure that my ruler is squared up with my paper. Come over here. And I know this is fiddly for y'all. And a lot of people like to use scraps to cover envelopes, and that's wonderful. I like to use scraps too, but on these particular ones, I just want them to be, I don't want to say neater. I just want them to be covered in the same piece of paper. And here again, I'm doing the same thing, making sure I'm squared up, making sure I can get my mark, and see what I just did there? I went all the way to the edge with the mark. That's okay. It's not going to hurt a thing. But now I know that I want to cut out this box. That's all I want to cut out. It's just that box. So now I can come in and erase. I find it easier to erase my marks before I cut the paper, because it's easier to to erase them on a big piece of paper than it is to erase them when the paper's small, and it'll pull and tear more once the paper's been cut into. Now I left my box, and that's all I have to leave for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ruler, and I'm going to get my handy dandy little cutter that my husband found me. I think he's a little worried about me using the one that is actually for construction, like cutting carpet and stuff. I think he's a little worried that his klutzy wife might hurt herself with that. What do you think? Of course, being his klutzy wife, it would be just as easy for me to hurt myself with this one. Now I'm going just where I can barely see that line, and I see where it stops. So now, because it's not always a good thing for me to have sharp objects in my hand, what I do now is try to make this a little easier on myself. I'm not going to use the big scissors. I'm going to get a smaller scissors. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut just right on that line. Keep it out here where y'all can maybe see what I'm doing. I'm not too good at keeping things on camera. And again, I'm just cutting right on that line. And the more you get cut out, the squirrelier your paper gets, because your edges are getting thinner. So, and when you shake like I do, it looks like the thing's going all over the place. All right, there we go. Now we've got, I didn't want to cut to the corners and then cut out each one, because that would leave us with 4 triangles. Now we've got this nice piece of scrap to work with. So I'm setting that aside. Now I'm going to test my cuts. If I line that right up there and line that right up there, I think we're good. I think we managed to do it. Okay, now, because I can see just, of course I'm going to ink it anyway, but because I can see just a little bit of that pencil mark, I'm going to ever so lightly come around here with my eraser. And I do that very lightly because I don't want to rip these little sides. Isn't that cute? Isn't that a cute eraser? I just like my eraser. Okay, so now, get all the garbage off the desk. Get the vacuum out later. Okay, so now we have this, and it fits. Yay! Okay. So what we're going to do now is decide how far we want to fold up. We're going to fold up and make a pocket. So, and don't worry about this, we're going to cut this off. So we'll be trimming that up a little bit. So I'm going up about 2 1/4 inches. I don't remember how far Dee Dee went up, but I think that's about the same. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to make this pocket a triangle. And you can go either direction, doesn't matter. But if you go this direction, then you've got to close this side up. So for ease right now, I'm just going to go this direction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut from corner to corner. And Dee Dee modified hers a little bit. She didn't go exactly to the corners. She made a more specialized fold where she left a little bit down here and she left a little bit up here. And I'm not taking the time, to be honest with you, to do that today. Okay, so here we have our envelope with our fold made. Okay, so now we need to get our paper to fit that envelope. So we know we have to do the inside of the pocket, and because we went down to the corner over here, we have to go all the way down to the fold. So I'm just going to come find my little fold. And if you don't make it exact, that's okay, because we all know how ink changes everything. Ink can fix just about anything. So if you're gonna ink, you really don't have to be as particular as I'm being. But here we go, we're gonna cut the paper. And there's a reason why I went ahead and cut it all the way across, cut the whole thing out, because we can make 3 envelopes from this one piece. Right now I'm only going to make the one, but I've got my other 2 cut so that you can see what I did. Now we need to mark and cut again. And we're going to mark right there. Ooh, sorry for that noise, y'all. And on this piece of paper, you could for sure cut a little longer on this side and wrap it around a little bit. I just want mine to fit on the outside. Okay, so there we have that one that we will glue on in a minute. Okay, it looks like I might have cut that just a little bit short. But guess what? I have a solution for that also. So now let's see what we're going to do. We have this little piece left over from cut off, and we just need to mark and cut. And I'm going to cut it from corner to corner. And here's where I hope you can see. I'm gonna cut it from where I marked it there to where I marked it there. Okay, so that makes our cover for our little front pocket. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get my papers glued on for this one. Move a few things out of the way because everything seems to have migrated to my desk. Okay. So here we go. And I'm just going to go ahead, and I know that something's going to have to be trimmed. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this piece on, and then we'll worry about trimming in a minute. And y'all have seen me do this before, and I've explained that I guess it's the climate where I'm at or something. Glue sticks just absolutely do not work for me. And I quit trying. So I went and bought a gallon of Elmer's glue. And put some of it in this little applicator. Any little glue applicator with a spongy tip will do. And that's what I use. And I know that you'll say it's going to make my paper curl and all that. Well, it does sometimes, but I also have tricks and solutions for that. As long as your glue sticks well, you can bend the paper back on itself. You can do all kinds of things to get those bends out. Okay, here I'm seeing a little bit of, there we go. There we go. Okay, so we got that paper down good. And I should probably smoosh it. And it's ironic that this paper that I use looks like collage anyway. But hey, you know. Let's see. Then I can come along here. I'm going to get my sticky scissors out because I did just glue this. I'm just going to come along here and shorten that side of the envelope by cutting a little bit off. Cut right along that happy little edge there. Fold my little pocket up. And this little poof is happening because of the way I folded it. It's not, I'm not going to blame my glue for that because it was poofing a little bit before I got started with my glue. Okay, here we go. Now we're just going to glue the front of this one. And you know what? The next thing we need to do is decide what we're going to cover the inside with. Now this is where I think I will make a little difference, a little change. I need to cover the inside portion of where that envelope is. Now, because I don't like, I mean, the design on this one is actually pretty. I could just use that design and just make a card to go in here. Or I could just go ahead and cover that paper. And I think that's what we'll do, is we're just going to cover that paper. So I'm going to give it plenty of room. And I could cover the whole inside. Okay, why don't we just go ahead and do that? Just cover the entire inside. And to do that, we're going to cut here and here. Set this over here and do it. It'll just make it a little bit nicer to go cover the whole inside of the, so that you don't see it when you open your pocket. You don't see that envelope pattern. Okay, so now, and the reason I wanted to do this right now is because this is not folded, not glued down yet, so I can get in here easier. And I want to try to get all the way up into that corner, just like that. Okay, so now that went well. We'll see what'll happen when we put glue on it. So I'm just gonna go around with my glue. And I hope Dee Dee doesn't mind me taking a little bit of what do they call it? I can't think of the word. Creative license. And doing it this way. Okay, so now, here again, the trick is to get it all the way up there and in the corner. And then just mush it down. Okay, so now what we need to do to make our pockets is just glue this one up right here. And I'm going to use art glitter glue for that. And yes, my art glitter glue tip is a mess. I just have not ordered a new one. I need to order a new one. Little dry rag there. Okay, so now we have a pocket. We've got a pocket here, and depending on how we glue down the back, we'll have a tuck or a pocket here, and a pocket here. So that gives us 4 places to stick things, and we know that we like to load them up. What I am going to do, I see right here that this little corner is not glued down well, so I'm just going to give that back flap of that envelope a little glue. Okay, so that should be good. So now what we need to do is to make a card to go inside here. And we'll do that after a while. I have 2 more envelopes to glue. I did already cheat and cut them out. Well, I cheated part way. I've still got to cut the piece for the inside. Okay, so, and this one, what I did was use my ruler and I tore around that edge. But it is so much easier to cut around that edge. Well, I'll get this one up to the wiki. Oh boy, I am a mess today. Got things all over the place. But that's okay. That's when we know we're having fun, isn't it? So, yeah. Sorry, I just went quiet there. Evidently, I'm trying to concentrate on this. Isn't that a novel idea? Like, I might be trying to get it straight or something. Yeah, that's a novel idea for me. Oh, goodness. Goodness, goodness, goodness. Okay, get that glue down there. And that one, the edge is pretty equal all the way around, so I will just hit that with some ink and go from there. So let's go ahead and get this one glued on. Noise, 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 noise. And put this one right here. And we want to stay, since this is such an edge, we want to stay right above that fold because we don't want that little tiny bit trying to fold over, that we can ink that fold and make anything that's showing go away. Okay. And I see a little mark right there that I want to go away. So now let's do our inside piece. And yep, I like that. Okie dokie. And I like to be sure to get the glue out to the edges real well. And then just kind of fill in the middle. Y'all, I'm sorry I'm quiet today. I don't know what's going on. Don't have a migraine, which is yay. I've had 2 of those this week. And I seriously dislike them, like everybody does. So yeah, I haven't even attempted to film this week. Now let's see if we can get it up and in here. Oops. Let's get it up and in there. And then hold that corner down. If you get that corner up in there and then hold that down, everything should smooth back out for you. Okay, and here we go. We'll get this messy art glitter glue out again. Boy, oh boy. And you know what? That pen must not be stainless steel, because this is what it will do. It will rust your glue. It does not hurt the glue at all, but it will rust it. So if there's something that you're trying to keep really pristine and white, be very aware of that. Well, I just had that in a big old mess. Wow. Okay, so we're just gonna glue up this side. Keep grabbing this rag. This is just a dry rag that I use to wipe my silicone mat over here if after I have wiped the glue off with the wet rag, if it doesn't dry fast enough for me, I just grab that dry rag and go over it. But also I'm using it to sop up glue spillage. Okay, so let's do this last one. And Dee Dee says, especially this year, she's not even trying to do it in 15 minutes. Well, she's trying to, but she's not going to be upset if she goes over, because it is what it is. And I agree. And we all know that I'm a slow crafter. So yeah, mine will always go over 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure about that. Okay, let's get this one. And I'm most concerned about my top and the side that's toward me right now. I'm most concerned about getting those lined up well. Of course, I want the whole thing lined up well, but I can adjust on this side. We saw me do that a little while ago. And this envelope, I knew I had one of them that wasn't cut just right. Okay, now ink will cure any ailments we have there. And ink will cure this down here. Not gonna hurt. Of course, this might actually, yeah, see, that's gonna hang over. It's not gonna hurt a thing. I do see that I did not erase my little marks. I just love that little eraser. Reminds me of grade school. Boy, I wouldn't want to go back there. Of course, that was when my family was moving a lot, and I think I was at 14 of them. I really felt like I finally settled down a little bit for junior high and high school. My dad worked for the railroad, so we got to move a little. Okay, so now, and ink will fix that. I'm not worried about that. My glue dried a little faster than I was working. But I'm more concerned about having this lined up, that point right there. Okay, so now, let's see what we can do with this one. And this paper pack that I'm using is from the Paper Studio, and it's called Theodosia Square. One of my very favorite paper packs of all time. Okie dokie. Now I see down here that I'm just going to need a little bit cut off because it almost fits. Would have been nice if it would have said, okay, I'll go ahead and fit. Okay, I hope that's my mark. I think it was. And then I'm just going to trim a little bit off this bottom. And get my lemon water. Yeah, I think I'm getting a cold, so that's not good. But a little lemon water never hurt anything. Okay, I'm seeing a little bit of trimming. See, I'm getting this coming out here that I should have laid that paper on top and made my mark instead of making my mark to the outside. But I'm going to trim just another little hair off. Yeah, and that's not going to fit, is it? Put that over there. Y'all, if y'all could see my desk, it is a mess. But I need my 12-inch paper cutter out to cut the 12-inch paper. And then I need my little one so I don't have to drag the 12-inch over here all the time. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a little smidge off this. Oops. That wasn't good, was it? Yeah, that'll fit better. That will fit better. Put that one back in its little home. Well. Okay. So yeah, what did somebody say about 15 minutes? No, I think we're way over. I think we can just ditch that. I'm still gonna hashtag Dee Dee's channel though, and I'm gonna put the link to hers down in the description box. That is one busy girl. I hope y'all have been watching her, but if you haven't, you need to go over and watch her. I don't know how she does everything that she does. Okay, now I need to get that up in that corner. Smooth it down. There we go. And that's just a wet rag I wiped that excess glue off with. Now, we're just gonna glue that pocket. And there we go. I'm gonna do something different here for a minute. I'll go over here and find my little purple knitting needle cover. And of course it's wanting to hide down in the jar of my little tools. Sorry, y'all. Okay. So now, and that did end up with a little bit there, but I'm gonna ink this one and show you what we get. Sorry, I'm over here in my lap again. Okay. And I should have inked this edge, but through the magic that happens, there we go. And see, now this just disappears, and I could probably fold it up even a little bit more, just a tad. Glue this down a little bit more. See, I didn't get my glue all the way to the edge there. But there we go. Now, you can put thumb holes in here if you want to, or go ahead and fix your cards and put, and this is probably what I'll do, I'll probably put a little lace on the end of the card to hang over so that when they pull on the lace, the card will come out. But yeah, there's our 3. I think we did pretty good. Okay, so thank y'all for watching, and I hope you're all having a happy day.